Hi there, beautiful creatures, welcome back. Today I had a little rant, almost a rant but not quite a rant. I had a rant before and I decided I didn't want to post it on YouTube because I didn't feel like I was getting my kind of argument across in a way that explained what exactly the problem was and how I found it problematic. So I think the title of this video is going to be something like challenging the kind of divine feminine's passivity. So in my previous video that I wanted to publish, I had a chat to myself, I guess, about the Alana Fairchild book that I'm reading, Crystal Goddesses 888. And I came across a really interesting scenario that she described in her book. The book so far has been really positive and really motivating for me and has a lot of information that I can understand, and I did relate to it up until this point. So she has scenarios throughout the book, and usually they're quite good and quite fine, and I'm not that far into the book, so I don't know what the rest of it's like. But I came upon this scenario when she was talking about the goddess Lakshmi, and she associates Lakshmi with self-confidence as well as what she calls limitless manifestation, and she associates it with a crystal. She associates her, sorry, with a crystal. And this particular example that Alana gave in the book was one in which she describes her waiting in line at an airport when she noticed the energy when she noticed the energy of a man, and she turned around to see him leering at her and looking at her, and obviously to some extent it must have made her uncomfortable because she wrote about it almost like this in the book. But she said in these terms that the man was attracted to her because of her purity. And when I was making the other video, I went on a massive rant about that word. But what I really want to talk about with that word, purity, is the fact that it is a problematic way of addressing yourself in such a situation. Not only does it suggest that it perpetuates this belief that women are born with an innate purity that men are not born with. It's a sort of biblical thing. It's a sort of chaste thing. It's a kind of like, oh, we are so pure and so feminine and so delicate. It has all those connotations towards it, you know. Purity, even in today's 21st century, doesn't mean it doesn't really have positive attributes, in my opinion, towards women. It is more a way of pacifying women than it is of liberating them. So she uses the words that he was attracted to her purity, and that instead of getting upset, confronting the man for staring at her, even staring back, which is another way to challenge it, she sent good intentions to him. She said something along the lines of, in the book, you know, she set the intention that she was going to send the message to this guy mentally that he was only attracted to her purity, and she uses it multiple times, because he did not have that within himself. He was not pure, and so he was attracted to her purity. And I think you can probably spot where that problem lies for me. Because I am a feminist and I do like to align my goddess path, goddess sort of explorations and deity kind of thing. That wasn't a great way of putting it, but I like to align it with a feminist viewpoint. I think that this issue that we have as women being passive and you know, even when men are seeking, in a sense, like that man did, to assert a sense of dominance over us or have a control or power over us, even just by looking at us a certain way, we don't confront the issue. Instead, we still send them our good intentions. And I don't think that is a way to confront the problem. I mean, you can confront the problem by talking about it, by simply challenging him back with your stare. Let him know that you are keenly aware of what is going on, because part of the issue is that there is a social conditioning out there that says women are meant to be receptive, they are meant to be the object that is objectified by men. And even though we are challenging that today in many, many different ways, we are still not challenging it enough. And that is one of the ways that this book didn't really address that issue. It instead, for me, perpetuated this belief that anyone who follows a goddess-centric path, anyone who basically anyone who follows a goddess-centric path should still be passive to the male gaze, and should still be, should not confront issues that might make them uncomfortable. Because, I mean, which of us hasn't been catcalled in our lifetime or been looked at by a guy, you know, with the obvious seedy look that he thinks that, you know, he's just thinking like sexual thoughts about us and stuff, and have been actually, you know, approached by men when we don't want to be approached, and had inappropriate comments made about us even when we were very young, and just kind of absorbed it all in and took it all in because it was the way that we were. It's the way that we still are being brought up to think in our youth, that we are just meant to accept it. And even now, society is slowly getting into breaking that mold, but it still has a long way to go. And so it's problematic for me that when people like Alana Fairchild, people who align themselves with a divine feminine path, and people who write about that path, neglect to mention these issues and these topics, because they are incredibly important, and they are a big part of why a lot of women, you know, seek to empower themselves through a divine feminine path, because they want aspects of the goddess within them. But if we are perpetuating this idea that an aspect of the goddess is to be passive and subservient, and you know, just send out a good intention regardless of what makes us uncomfortable or irritates us or angers us, then that is just not going to end us up anywhere good. And a lot of those people seeking to be empowered are not going to really be empowered. They're just going to find another way of doing exactly the same thing that they were doing before, on a different path, if that makes any sense. So that kind of soured the rest of the book for me, because I just couldn't get past that. It actually stewed with me. Like, I've been stewing on this for a couple of days now, and I have continued reading the book, but I haven't done any of the healing exercises in it, and I don't even know if I'll finish reading the book, because now that I'm in this critical mind frame, I just keep seeing issues with the way that she addresses certain situations. It's like, we can't always be up here, spiritual vibe, you know. We are in a body, we are on the physical realm, we are earthly beings. Everybody here is a human being, and we all experience at one point or another the same feelings and emotions. So to say that you are purer than someone, to say that you have a higher spiritual vibe than someone, and therefore can send an intention, a telepathic message to them if you want, that says, recognize this impurity in yourself and do not project it on me. Like, I don't know if that worked for her. By all accounts, it seemed like it did. But for the average person, for me, walking down the street, if a man were to do that to me, I certainly would not send him my good intention. And then, does that reflect badly upon me? Am I not a spiritually evolved being like Alana Fairchild? You know, I think I am. But yet I'm not as forgiving, I guess. So I think that's kind of it on this topic, because I could probably ramble about this for hours and hours, but I just wanted to put it out there because we're talking about, you know, Kellyanne brought up representation in tarot, and I'm finding a lot of these contemporary texts with spiritual leaders, women in particular, following a divine feminine path, who think that that is still a path of passivity and receptivity, and it's not, you know. Women are humans too, and we experience all spectrums of sensations and feelings. We need to stop perpetuating anyway that gender dictates our human experience, because gender is a contrived notion. It's a society has created gender to make things easier for themselves. That is not something that humans have created. We have a sort of a biological gender, but you know, in today, when you can change anything and everything you want, from the color of your hair to, you know, what gender you identify as, you know, it's like, I think we just need to be a bit more open about this kind of stuff. It's being put a lot on the back burner, and people say that divine feminine is for everyone, and yet they're not really being that inclusive. And it is kind of problematic, and it is perpetuating ideas that are maybe not so healthy for everyone. So yeah, I will end it there, because like I just said, I can go on this topic forever and ever and ever. So I would love to hear your comments down below. Please video respond to this video if you feel inclined to do so. Have you read the book? Do you know the example that I'm talking about? Did you find it problematic? Am I making a mountain out of a molehill? Let me know in the comments down below, and thank you all so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.